Hi there, I'm Ashley and I'm doing part 1 of our digital history research project, while Vianey is doing part 2 in the other link. So when we first found out about this project, we didn't really have to think twice about what we wanted to do, which was climate change, except we had to narrow it down to a more specific topic. So we chose to do how we survive, food. And then our topic was born, climate change and agriculture. To begin, you should probably start with what climate change is. And that is a pattern of changing climate around the globe, which has been apparent in the last 200 years because of the dramatic changes that us humans have been causing. However, there has always been a slight change in climate throughout history itself, but it is recently changing more than ever due to the increased use of greenhouse gases. And climate change is usually intertwined or mixed or confused with global warming, which has to do with the glacial melting around the globe. With this change happening, it's going to affect agriculture foremost, which means it's going to directly affect 3 groups: the farmers, the people who eat the food, and the economy. Farmers around the world are and have been realizing that their crops aren't producing the yield that they used to, or that they expected to. And this could be for a number of reasons, but it all ties back to climate change. It is also going to affect the human population as a whole, because if the population keeps growing, which it will, and the agricultural workers can't keep up with the crop production, then there's going to create a food shortage, which will then lead to the last point of how it's going to affect the economy. It's a simple supply and demand chart. So, the more demand and the less supply there is, then the higher the price will be for that limited amount of food supply, or farmed goods, which is everything we eat in general, and it's going to cause inflation. See the problem here? This is why farmers are going to have to look into new technologies and techniques to add to their farming practices. This led us to a major question at hand. How has the looming threat of climate change impacted agricultural decision-making over the last half-century? One answer we have here is that there wasn't any decision-making actually happening, because farmers may have not believed in climate change. They might have thought it was just a natural phenomenon. While others looked into new ways they could make scenarios where they could change the way they farmed and the crops they produced to help with their yield and to see how the different reactions would work. One case study that I looked into was cocoa farming in Ghana. It took place in the Asin South District, where there are 6 cocoa-producing communities. Cocoa itself is particularly sensitive to climate conditions and is grown over long periods of time, which limits the opportunity for adaptation and changing the crops or the variety of the crops. Rainfall in this region dictates when to plant and harvest each year, along with whether the crops succeed or fail. In this specific year that the case study took place, the rainy season had come late, and it was heavy, leaving crops to rot in the fields due to the excess rainfall and the poor drainage in the fields. Cocoa is critical to the local and national economies because chocolate is used in many things and is loved by almost everybody. Along with this loss of income in the Ghana communities comes the expenses of time and effort due to the climate change gone to waste. Having to replant after the seeds die, having to carry harvests over flooded roads, and having truckloads of cocoa beans ready, but the trucks never came because of the floods, which ultimately led to hire more hands and labor to carry the beans the distance the truck would go. This is only one instance where the changing climate is affecting communities in small and becoming countries because they are solely dependent on their agriculture. So I believe that politicians should really learn about this stuff and stop ignoring the millennials. And thank you for listening. And Vianey will be covering the next few slides over climate change and its effect on agriculture, some graphs about the patterns that are going to happen, or predicted to happen, climate change impacts, and wrap up this whole presentation. Thank you!